Hi, I'm David with Breadstand, and I want to talk to you about how this coffee machine can change your life. Now, I know that sounds like a pretty big thing to say. I mean, how can a coffee machine change your life? Even if you can buy into the idea that the coffee is great, how is that possible? Well, first I have to say, I don't have to sell these coffee machines. I'm selling these coffee machines because I believe in them. And there are a lot of other great products that I believe in that I'm not selling. I'm an internet entrepreneur. I am retired. I actually am one of the founders and creators of the field of internet banking, and I actually have a patent on transferring money over the internet. So, and a lot of my friends ask me, why the heck are you doing this? And the reason is because I genuinely and truly believe that if you buy one of these machines, and in order to get one into your home, your life has to change in a positive, meaningful way. So the first thing I got to say is I could tell you about how great the machine is. I could tell you about how, and I probably should at least tell you a little bit about it, and that is that basically it is a professional cafe machine that has been sort of miniaturized for the home use. It has the same components that are used in the professional cafes. And what that means at the end of the day is that it's cheaper than a drip coffee maker and more powerful than what you see at your typical cafe. It's important to understand that typical cafes in the United States, they actually use the espresso machines that were invented about 100 years ago. Technology's come a really long way in the last 100 years, including espresso machines. And this isn't just, okay, I think it's great. Like, the proof is in the pudding, and the fact is the best cafes in the world, if you go to Paris, if you go to Monaco, or if you go to Switzerland, this is what they're using in the cafes. And the only thing they've done is to make it smart for the home use, is sort of miniaturize things like the water tank and the bean hopper, which wouldn't be practical in a professional environment because it's just, you need to hold like a gazillion beans to make coffee for all day long. But these machines can handle the volume, they're durable, they're quality built, and they last day in and day out. So the reason why it can change your life ultimately comes down to you and who you are and what you believe and how you approach owning one of these machines. Now, the first is belief. You've got to believe in yourself, because if you look at this machine at first, you may say, this is just another luxury appliance, it's just another high-priced gadget that I'm going to get excited about for a couple months, even if I can sort of find some way to buy it. It's going to be like the juicer or some other blender or something else that sits on your counter eventually ends up on Craigslist or in a garage sale, and you're kind of embarrassed to tell people that you even bought it in the first place. This is not like that. So one of the first things is that the price. It's going to seem expensive to you at first, and we'll talk about financial responsibility in a minute, because financial responsibility is a major reason why you should buy one of these machines. But the price for a lot of people is more than they're used to paying for something. They look at the machine, they say, I can get a drip maker for $20. This is like, these machines start at around $1,400. Go up from there. Something's off there. That doesn't sound right to me. I'm not the kind of person who spends a lot of money. In order for you to get one of these machines, I believe it's within the budget of anybody who genuinely wants one. I agree that maybe it's more than most people are used to spending, but I believe you can get there if you want to. I see people buy things that are in this price point: flat screen TVs, fancy phones, and even just the type of car you buy. Even just a slight difference in the model of your car you could buy would be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 easily. So I believe you can get there if you really wanted to. And at the end of the day, that's kind of a key reason. And I know it sounds silly, but believing in yourself that you can figure out a way to get this machine. And I think it's a small enough goal that will really teach you about empowerment and getting what you want in life. Now, and I know that's silly, but I promise you that that's true. And the second thing is financial responsibility. A lot of people don't realize and aren't really financially educated, and they think that they're saving money by buying a drip coffee maker or whatever, but they don't realize how much money they're spending on coffee on a day in and day out basis. So unless you stop drinking coffee altogether, this is the cheapest way you can get coffee. In fact, it's like nearly a third of the price, and even less maybe than drip coffee. So if you think, oh, well, I got drip coffee, I'm the smart, responsible, cheap, you're not. You don't understand. If you think that that's true, then you really don't understand finances, and it's time to start understanding a little bit more about finances. And the basic point at the end of the day is that you're going to spend more money on pretty any other method of brewing coffee than you will with one of these types of machines. You can easily spend, even with a drip coffee maker, within a couple of years, you can save thousands of dollars on the amount of coffee you use, because it wastes so much coffee. And the price only goes up there with Keurig or an espresso or going to the cafe. There's a reason why these cafes are in business of making a lot of money. I mean, going to the cafe alone can easily cost you $15,000 over a few years for just one person. If you have more than even one person in your household, that is even more compounded. The third thing is, it's funny to me, there's this whole thing with the open-mindedness today about people's sexual identity and gender identity, and yet it's really funny to me that people can't accept how much they love coffee and how important coffee is in their lives. Coffee is the second largest commodity next to oil, and we love it, and if you don't love it, then you're probably in the wrong place. But if you do love it, you're in the right place. It sounds simple, but accepting how much you love coffee is an important part of sort of owning your identity. A lot of people are sort of embarrassed to admit that, okay, I really love coffee, and it's just that important to me. Of all the things in your life, this is one of the most important things. And getting your day off to the right start and getting coffee that's important to you really is a key thing about defining yourself and defining your identity. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that's silly. And I think related to that even is that what's unique about this is that there's not a lot of social proof when it comes to owning a machine like this. You know, when you buy the new iPhone or the earbuds or some of the cool thing, everyone can see and you get a certain status. Oh, look at me, I got the cool white headphones, I'm special. You know, that's not the case with this. You're buying this machine for you and you alone. So you have to take responsibility for yourself, what's important to you, own that responsibility and act on it. And if that gets you excited, the idea of saying, look, I can have what I want in my life. It should, because it's your sort of soul, it's your spirit calling out to you, saying, yes, this is important. And it's the little things in life. If you study philosophy or spirituality, people will constantly say at the end of the day, it's sort of appreciating the little things. And this is a perfect example of that. Here's an opportunity for something that is meaningful and is important to you every single day, and it's going to deliver for you. And the last thing really is actually the coffee itself. Now, it's hard to describe the coffee because most people just aren't experienced enough to appreciate the quality when you first get it. And I don't mean that in sort of any snobbery way. Like, you know, when the iPhone first came out, I'll be one of the first to admit that I kind of didn't get it. To me, it just seemed like, because I didn't really use it, it's a whole new way of using a phone, and to me it just seemed like a fancy way to make phone calls. I mean, your phone, what else can you do with it, you know? And it wasn't until, you know, it takes time to really understand and appreciate the significance, just because you're not exposed to it and all the little things that you can do with it and the way that it develops and grows. And this coffee is really the same way. At first, you're not used to it. It's a totally new experience for you. So it's hard to grasp the importance of that quality and the impact on your life. And one of the analogy that may be similar is to think about chocolate. Now, the Swiss invented chocolate, and you know what they also invented? They invented this coffee, this method of brewing coffee. And it took, while people love chocolate, it still took a while for it to catch on, you know. But one of the reasons that chocolate is something that people like, and it's very similar to the reason why people like coffee. And it may not be obvious at first, but coffee and chocolate actually have these sort of well-defined, balanced bitterness in them. And you would think, well, bitterness is not something I want, but it is one of the things about chocolate and coffee, and people even who like beer might even say the same about Guinness beer, that make people fall in love with it. Because what the bitterness does is it has a weird sort of sensual and psychological thing that really kind of helps you get centered and focused and bring you into the moment. And this is why, you know, a poor cup of coffee is disappointing, and when you want a good cup of coffee, you have an image of your mind of what that's going to be like, what it's going to be for you, and that's what this delivers every single day. You know, we've had customers for many, many years who've had these machines. I've been doing this for, I don't even know, over 15 years now, and I'm absolutely in love with the machine and have been. And every single day, it's almost like the experience gets better, because it's almost like each day you discover a little bit more. Every single day, it's the bright start of my day, and I'm not alone in feeling this way. And you probably don't know other people feel that way too, because like I said, there's no social proof. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is a coffee machine that's going to deliver great quality coffee to you every single day, day in, day out. It's cheaper than a drip coffee maker. It's, you know, more powerful than the cafe. And I could go into the technical details of why this is all true, but that's kind of irrelevant. That's just an excuse to either buy or not buy the machine. So at the end of the day, the question is, why don't you have one of these in your home? And you have to answer that question for yourself, because you either have to say, well, I can't afford it, in which case you're saying, I'm not capable of making the money, I don't have what it takes, and I don't believe that that's true. I believe you could figure it out if you really wanted to. You know, the other is, well, my friends don't have one, I'm not sure, I'm scared. Are you going to let other people define how you live your life? That's another key point. You know, are you going to do that? Or are you going to decide for yourself what's important to you and make it happen? So there really is, and quality of coffee, again, across the board, it's going to win. And like I said, I could go into the technical details of why, but if you're in that area, then you're just being pedantic and kind of arguing like why a flip phone might be better than a smartphone. It's not really a question. I'm sure some people can argue this pedantic point that somehow a flip phone is better, but let's be honest, a smartphone is just way better. Let's just be straight to the point. And it's the same with this type of machine. This is like the smartphone, and everyone else is basically using, you know, old flip phones. To me, when I look at this, it's like people washing their clothes by hand, you know, rather than having a washing machine. It just doesn't make sense in this day and age. And I know you can argue, well, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. First of all, it's not really cheaper when you consider all the costs involved, the amount of soap, the amount of time and effort, and it's the same with all these other methods of brewing coffee. Everything else that you know is outdated. It's the past. This is the future, and it's the top cafes in the world use this, the people who really enjoy coffee use this, and you can do it too. And you have to decide for yourself, can you make this happen? How are you going to make it happen? Own up to who you are. Find the way to get it done and prove to yourself that you can live the life that you want, you can have the quality of the life you want, and you can make things happen. You can be, as they say, the change you want to be and make your life better.